Handle your high with Daddy Yoshi.
All right, welcome to the show. I have my friend Alan Greensitt. Thank you, Alan, for staying up late and for being on my podcast today.
You're welcome.
Oh yeah,
Good to be here.
yeah. Now you're in the UK. Now, where exactly how far out of, are you near London? Tell me where you're at.
No, London is about 4 hours away from me, so it's a drive. That's a 4-hour drive. So we're in the middle of the country. It's Buxton, Derbyshire.
Oh, okay.
Which is directly in the middle of the country, more or less. So I'm 4 hours away from Scotland, which is right up north.
Ooh, okay.
And 4 hours away from London. So we're right.
How far away are you from Bruges?
Bruges?
Yeah.
Maybe about 2-3 hours.
Man, I'm coming to your house to make a visit. My brother and we're going to go to Bruges and drink beer. My brother and I, our favorite beers. We like going to the craft beer places around here. There's a lot of them. It's very popular here in the States. You know, I don't know if it's popular over where you're at, but they have like these tap houses where they'll have 30 different, beers. Yeah. And
beers, yeah.
So my brother and I have the same taste buds, obviously, because we're identical twins. But I definitely love beers like quads, double box, the double and the triples, all those all the big Belgian beers. That's the shit that I like. I saw one. What was that?
I like the German beers, the Steins.
I like the German beers too. Yeah.
The two pinters, they're the best.
Which ones?
The Steins, they're called, where you have a 2-pinter.
Oh.
So you have like a liter of ale.
I got one in my cupboard. I got a Stein. It's like 2 liter. It's like I think it's giant. It's like a giant liter. I got it from the Hofbrauhaus. They sell them there. It's like a chain here. It's like a chain of it's a German brewery, but their beer they brew there internally there at each location, and they do it German style, and then it's all organic, and they have the coolest thing is when you go into their restaurant, they have a giant counter in the back, and you can see it says countdown to Oktoberfest, and so it's like it counts down the day, it counts down the seconds to Oktoberfest, right? And that's one of the things I've always wanted to do. I wanted to go to Germany and go to Oktoberfest.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, cool. I've heard it's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, well, from England, it's only a 2-hour flight to Germany.
Okay.
So I'll put you up here, and we can put over to Germany, no problem.
What's it like over there right now with COVID and stuff? What is travel like in the UK right now? Just curious.
Travel-wise, as in going abroad.
Yeah, coming into the UK or traveling around in Europe.
Yeah. You have to self-isolate when you come back. So you have to self-isolate 2 weeks when you come back, wherever you've been.
Okay.
So if you've been to Spain or you've been to Germany or Greece or wherever, I mean, I don't think we're allowed to go into the States, are we?
I don't know. See, I don't keep up. I tried my.
Because Donald Trump is not letting many people in, as we well know.
Yeah, he's got issues, but
we don't want to do 2 hours of Donald Trump, do we?
I tell you, man, I'm getting really, really interested. This election, this is an election year, of course. Everybody knows it. It's the first election that I've ever seen where people outside of our country actually care more than some of the people in our country. I see people doing rallies and protests and shit in other countries, and they're Trump supporters. I'm like, wow, this is just amazing. What it tells me is, I think people know something that somehow there's something that most of Americans are missing. They're missing something in this election.
I think from an outsider's point of view, from a British person looking on the outside, yeah, Donald Trump is obviously a really good businessman, and for the establishment. As in, who are always in power. They don't want a businessman in power because they're the business people. So I think that's a lot of the problem, I think.
Well, maybe. It just looks like there's more support for him than I would have expected. That's what I guess I mean, in other countries. And which I don't care, because to be quite frank,
does he have a business selling disinfectant by any chance?
I don't know, but I don't think so.
only said that because do you remember he said a few months ago you could inject yourself with disinfectant?
I don't think he didn't actually say that. He said that he thought that was a good idea to work on certain things.
We're in the UK. We're all like, "What's he doing? What is he doing?"
So what you guys heard was a sound bite, but it wasn't really. He didn't actually say that. I saw that interview, and it's the people that were reiterating it that misrepresented what he was actually saying. I'm not saying that because it was an off comment. It was he gets dinged for the comments that he makes that a layperson would make about that topic. Like he's a layperson. He's not a scientist. He's not he's not like a virologist or anything. He's just getting information, and in his lay brain, he's going, "Why don't we just disinfect on the inside?" Like that sounds like a good idea for a 6-year-old, but for the rest of us who know science, we're like, you can't fucking do that. Like but the kernel of it is actually good because I know what he's really thinking. He just didn't have the language for it because there is infrared technology and other technology that we can use that can penetrate into the body and can actually be like an antiseptic. Even though it's not really like that, it's kind of like that. So there is some technology that is kind of like this that I think that maybe like, who knows, right? Like maybe I think he was probably referring to something like that. But regardless, if you're the president or if you're if you're talking in front of like millions and millions of people, billions of people in the world, you probably shouldn't talk about shit that you don't know about. Just an idea.
Well, it's like our government. There's our health minister who's in charge of the NHS and so on. He's saying that we all have to wear masks, and he just happens to own a company that sells masks.
Oh, okay. Well, the governor, that sounds a lot like what there's a lot of that stuff going on around here because the governor, I think the governor of Arizona, Ducey, I don't know him personally. I don't know his politics. I just moved to Arizona last year, but my brother's got a nickname for him. I think he nicknamed him Douchey, but because there are some conflicts of interest that I can see with patents and other stuff, between the stuff, and it's called opportunism.
People are making money out of it.
Yeah, I mean, if I could, I probably would, if it served a good purpose and I wasn't ripping people off.
7 months ago, we were told in Britain that we didn't need to wear masks. Masks were useless. We didn't have to wear them. We were okay. Then we let 20 million people into Britain.
Right.
And then we started having all the COVID and everything. And then about 5 weeks ago only, they said we've got to start wearing masks. And it was like, well, it's a bit too late.
Well,
so it's then you hear that he owns a factory that's selling masks. So you think to yourself, it's a bit too. Well,
it is convenient, right? That some of these people can have the power to pass legislation that mandates their business.
Correct.
I don't like that. I don't like that conflict of interest. But so
I'm not saying that then it's not right. I'm just saying it's a bit.
A
bit dodgy.
I think, yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's a bit dodgy at best. It's like
that's a polite way of putting it.
Yeah, the better way was probably like it's a bit douchey, man. Like if you're gonna make it like if you're gonna say that you have to wear masks and your business is selling masks, you better tell people up front that your business is selling masks before you start making laws that say that you got to wear masks. Like I think that's probably more appropriate.
Yeah, but it's not known. It's not known. It's not been put on TV that he owns one. Some reporter found out that.
So that's even more sketchy.
Exactly. So then it's like everybody's like, "Oh, right, okay, right."
That's even more sketchy.
Boris Johnson, I don't know whether you've seen Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister.
Oh,
well, yeah. He looks like Boris Johnson. He looks like Donald Trump. So I'm thinking
maybe they're long lost cousins.
Maybe they're into. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it's strange to say this because there's so much. One of the things that has not resonated with me in this election is, and for that matter, Donald Trump's entire presidential term so far is that whatever he says, no matter if it's good or bad, he's attacked vehemently with venom from media, anything and everything he's attacked. And you know what? I've never really liked Donald Trump as our president. Never really liked him. But I like him more now, and I'll tell you why. Because everybody else hates him. And I hate to say it like that, but when I always root for the underdogs. So like, you want me to get on the side of somebody, start making, it would be one thing if the attacks were actually valid. But they're just saying like anything and everything. Like you can't, like, that's not relevant. Like, to me,
I think he's going to win.
I'm pretty sure he's probably going to win.
I think he'll smoke it because.
I think that he'll see. He barely inched it last time. He barely.
I think the other guy, for me, I've looked at it from my side, and the other guy's been in politics for 45 years and has done nothing. How he's going to change the next 4 years if he's been in it 45 years? He's not done anything. So
here's the way I would just. He's like the guy who competes in the local show against two other competitors and wins and thinks that he's like the champion. Like, he competed against two people, like, and they sucked. That's kind of what we're looking at.
And then last time you had the Clintons who were dodgy.
Oh, man.
So it was either picking one dodgy person or the other dodgy person.
Well,
so that's why I won.
Yeah, I had really huge reservations about Hillary because I did not like hearing that she's like all the dealings, the business dealings. And I liked Bill Clinton. He was a good president for me. Like, I thought he was a good president. I don't care who he's fucking. I don't care who's sucking his dick. I don't care. As a matter of fact, when I heard that, I was like, way to go, Prez. Got your dick sucked. Okay, cool, man. I don't care. It obviously didn't affect him in his job. No, I don't care. But I did care that Hillary Clinton is like deleting, important emails, and she's lying about her interactions with all these foreign affairs.
She is one dodgy dude. She really is.
I'm telling you, man, like, something ain't right with it.
I wouldn't push her as far as I could throw it.
No, I agree 100%. I would have loved to have seen a woman get elected.
What about Obama? Did you like Obama?
I liked the idea of Obama. I just didn't think that. I just thought he was a lame president.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you whether you liked him or not.
I
didn't ask you
the
idea of it.
Do I like him as a president or as a person?
President.
No, he sucks ass. He sucked ass as a president. As a person, I think he's probably a pretty okay person. I think he grew up in Chicago. I literally lived like 30 minutes between Bill Clinton's old hangout, him and Hillary's old hangout, and where Obama, they lived right near where I lived.
You can be a nice person, but you can be crap at your job.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think he did a horrible job as a president. So let me clarify, because someone's gonna fucking email me and say, "Oh, you're a fucking dick." Okay, no, I think Obama was a decent president, but it was all of the fanfare that went up to him. It's all of him. He was the first, black president that we've had, and it was like a milestone. Those are all really important things, and I applaud. That I was happy for. I voted for him. I thought it was a great thing that happened. But as his presidency went on, I thought that he was a yes man. I didn't think that he stood up for anything. I didn't think that he and now maybe he stood so lightly that it didn't.
And this is why Donald Trump is totally different, because he is not.
That's right, and that's the reason why. And some of my friends are not going to like me, hear me saying this, but that's the reason why I like him, because at least, even if I don't like what the fuck he's saying, I at least know what the fuck he thinks.
He stands up for what he believes in. And
I don't like his rhetoric.
Good or bad, that's what he believes and sticks with it. So
yeah, and I mean, how many friends have you had in your life that said, "I would rather you be honest with me than lie to me and make me feel better"? As a coach, everybody wants me to do that. They say, "Give it to me straight, Tad. Don't candy coat it." And I'm known for being positive.
To be fair, now knowing you for a while, I can't see you saying to anyone you're better than what you really are. I just don't see you saying it.
No, but I do have a. Okay, so when it comes to coaching and it comes to this sport and when it comes to people's bodies and their potential, I have a very good eye. I know I can see potential, but it doesn't mean that they're going to live it out, and that's the disconnect. So like I could say, man, you can do this, like you can win this, or you can achieve this. But the caveat
You're not going to be Mr. Olympia.
But the caveat is always, it doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what you believe. I'm here, if it gives you confidence to have somebody else tell you the same thing that you want and believe it, okay. But when I look at people and somebody says, oh, can I do this? Or you think I can do this? Sometimes I got to say, given what I know of that person, no, I don't think you can. And I hate saying that stuff. So I don't like when people ask me. I always turn it around on it because I always reframe it. What do you think? Because that's really the more relevant question. Even though I'm a judge, even though I've been in the industry for 35 years, even though I've done all this stuff, the most relevant question to your success is, what do you believe?
You know who I like the best?
What's that?
Steve Weinberger, because he is honest. When I've seen him, people have gone to his gym and said, "Look, can you have a look at me, Steve? What do you think?" And he's always been Victor Martinez, when he'd been in prison and he came out and he was looking at him and he said, "I'm sorry, Victor, you're not ready. Simple. Go away, come back."
Oh, I remember that.
Time.
Yeah.
And Victor looked absolutely destroyed but he was saying, "I'm sorry, Victor, but I can't tell you anything different."
Actually, Steve is one of those people that. What was that?
He said, if you go to Olympia, you get smoked.
Yeah, well, he knows because he's always on that judging panel. So he's like, I'm not gonna lie, because he's not gonna be able to lie to him. But more importantly, all the years I've ever known of Steve's interactions with other athletes and stuff, he's brutally honest. Like I've had people come to me who are like practically in tears after they heard what he had to say. Like, don't fucking cry, man. Take it as a fucking compliment. Because if a person doesn't give a shit about you, they will lie to you. They don't care what you hear. But if they actually give a fuck about what they do, about their own personal integrity, they're going to cut it you straight. They're going to tell you straight because they know that it comes back. It comes back. Like my lie or my truth will come back to me. Always does.
Correct.
No.
Yeah. What goes around? I always say what goes around comes around. And
yeah, so absolutely.
If you're honest, if you're not, then eventually.
It's very similar. Another way to put it is karma.
Life, business, or in life. Yeah, it's the same. Exactly the same.
It's like there's an energy that we put out in the universe with our actions and our beliefs and our feelings, and it's I think of karma very like the aggregation of your energy, of these energies. So when you go do a nice deed for somebody, or when you think nice thoughts about yourself or about others, or when you give somebody a compliment or you help somebody out without them knowing it, it's this wonderful, loving, positive energy that you're literally projecting into the universe. And it's not going to be, the universe cannot help it but deliver back to you very similar energies. So the more I love.
And sometimes tenfold.
Absolutely.
I'm helping businesses now in my job, in what I do as a businessman.
So what's your new business called? I know we talked about, but what's it called?
Yeah, it's a business mentor group.
Oh, okay. Simple.
Business mentor group, yeah. And basically, it's in an advisory role or a mentor role, and I basically help businesses grow. So in this short.
In the what?
Term.
Oh, so
in simple words, that's what it means. I help businesses grow.
So you grow revenue or grow in other ways?
Yeah, grow revenue, grow. If they want to have staff, I help them do that.
So
all basic, really. All basic.
What would you say if you were to like distill the key components of growing businesses? Like, what is like one or two of the most, like if you said these are the two most important concepts or two most important things that every business owner or every business should take into consideration when they want to grow their business, what are they?
Right. Well, first of all, what I ask someone is, what would be their ideal of revenue? So, for instance, if you had a genie in a bottle and you said, "What's your ideal revenue?" So per month or per year or whatever, what is your ideal revenue? So everybody sometimes has a ceiling of what they believe they can earn. So, and it depends on the person. So some people think they can only earn $8 an hour. Some people say I'm worth $500 an hour. Or some people say I want to be earning $3,000 an hour. So it really depends on the person to start with. Then we go through a roadmap and tell them.
So is that question geared at getting at the revenue, or is it geared at getting at their own unconscious or beliefs that they believe about what they can achieve?
It's basically both.
Okay.
In one question, it's basically both, because then you get to the CEO or whoever's the owner of the business, and you're saying, where do you want to be? What's your goals? Whether it's an existing business or whether it's a new business, where do you see yourself in a year's time or 3 months' time or 5 years' time? Wherever, let's sit down and discuss it. So that's what we do. We sit down and discuss it. We look at all the paperwork. If it's like an existing business, say, for instance, I've just helped a business who was earning £5,000, which is, I don't know how many dollars would that be a month?
I think the conversion right now is, what is it, like 1.545, something like that. So it's about
well, maybe $5,500, $6,000 a month.
Okay. Well, if it was £5,000, then it's probably like
seven or 8,000.
$7,000 or $8,000.
So if it was, because I'm trying to talk in dollars now. So if it was $8,000, I say to them, what's the magic remedy? You know, where would you like to be? So he said to me, well, I'd like to earn $25,000 a month. So what we do is we go to the $25,000 and work backwards rather than working forwards. So we go to the 25,000 and we say, right, how many clients have you got at the moment? And how many clients would it take you to hit the 25,000? So then he works it out and he says, oh, it will take X amount of clients. Now, either he hasn't got enough time to get those clients, because sometimes, you know, you haven't got the time to get more clients. So therefore, if that's the case, then obviously you've got to do it a different way. So you've got to either employ more people doing the same thing as you do. So therefore you've got less time, but you're getting more clients that way. So, or the marketing strategy is different. So there's lots of different ways we can actually make the business grow. It depends on where the business is, what they're doing at the time, and we go through everything.
But in terms of principles, what's the most important thing that you think that you see when you look at all these different businesses that you might have helped, or when you look at businesses in general, like what stands out to you as a common theme, as an important like principle that most businesses need to learn or need to know?
Successful businesses, the CEO or the owner of the business, like me, who's the CEO of my business, is you've got to be freed up to have time to make the business grow. You cannot be in the business, because if you're in the business, doing the business, like I was a sports coach and I was doing the sports coaching, just me on my own. So I was doing 30 hours a week sports coaching. Then I was on the phones trying to do marketing. Then I was trying to do everything else.
Sounds familiar.
And you were doing, yeah, well, there you go.
That sounds familiar.
And so therefore you were doing 70 hours a week.
Yeah,
and
easy.
when you put 70 hours a week and then you say, what was I earning an hour? And then you break it down from 70 hours. It's not that great, an hourly rate.
No.
Because you do 12 hours. So I'm on £400 an hour.
You what? Say it again?
That's £400 an hour.
What about?
So that's what?
That's your target?
$600. No, that's what I'm earning at the moment. $600 an hour. That's what I charge.
That's good.
Yeah. So now I've never earned this type of money before because I was a sports coach, but I believed, because I've had 30 years experience and I can give that experience to other people, I believe that in another 5 months, I reckon I can be earning $2,000 an hour.
Oh, easy, yeah.
Because people want me all the time. I've just taken on 6 people who are going to be business mentors doing exactly the same as me. So that frees me up again to make the business grow. So that's the most important thing. The CEO or the owner of the business needs to be freed up so that he can grow the business. The actual day-to-day running of the business, the people who are actually in the trenches, they're the workers. You don't see multi-millionaires doing the day-to-day running of the operation. They're sat in their office thinking about the next idea to make them rich.
But
simple.
There's a big leap. Do you find when you work with some of these CEOs or some of these business owners that there is a big leap of trust that you got to have to be able to take your, because I find that one of my problems I've owned several businesses, 4 or 5 businesses in my lifetime, had successes on all of them, but my biggest challenge, I would get to a certain point in growth, and my biggest challenge is being able to delegate off of my own plate so that I can make room for these other activities to grow the business even more. So I end up with, I can see it today, how clear it is today, like how it was me. I could have grown my businesses more astronomically, but I limited myself unknowingly because I was trying to do it all.
Yeah, the biggest thing is trust. Is having the trust in someone else to do the same job as what you can do.
Yeah, how do you get that?
Yeah, that's the key. That's what I've learned. That you've got to trust other people to be able to put as much energy into your business. You own the business. You love the business. It's very difficult to find somebody who's going to do everything that you would do, because most people don't.
No,
I found that if you pay them well enough and look after them, they will do it.
So this brings up an interesting question. This is kind of a little bit off topic, but in UK, in Europe in general,
Yep.
I get the impression that most jobs are much more conscientious. Most employers are much more conscientious about giving people a living wage.
No, totally wrong.
Okay,
no.
Well, maybe I'm going off of empirical, experiential data that I've got from like my brother and other people who've been to like Italy and London and different places. And when they talk to the people who work in like some of the service industry that we would see here, like waiters and waitresses, then those people tend, because like my brother was telling me, he's like, yeah, well, because he travels a lot, not right now, but when usually he travels a lot to give talks and stuff at different universities. And he'll say like, yeah, when we go to Europe or we go to these places, you can't even tip people because they're offended. But he's like, you don't want it because they think that what you're saying is that they don't make enough money. And he said that he got scolded by a server in in Italy or somewhere. He's like, he tried to give him a tip, and he said the guy was like, oh no. He goes, you don't need to tip me, man. I make enough money.
Well, what happens also in some places is that the tips are shared, so it goes into a bowl.
Right. They do that here.
So everybody gets the same amount, even though one server might be better than another, or one bar staff might not even be working that hard, and he gets the same as the one who's running around all that, which I think's wrong, because you're setting up because I think that's actually wrong, because at the end of the day, if somebody's working twice as hard as someone else, they should be.
Well, I would say, I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I would say that you don't really know. It's hard to judge how hard someone's really working because it looks different with different types of jobs, different tasks, and different and the value that we bring to the table is completely different. When I show up somewhere and I do my job, so to speak. Let's say I was a server, and maybe I'm only maybe I only got like 5 tables, and everyone else has got like 10, but my tables are VIPs, and they come to get special service from. So it looks like I'm not working. It looks like I'm working half as hard, but I'm getting 3 times the tips. Why? Because I'm giving them something that they expect, that they deserve, that they want. So I think like value could be like how I shudder with this hard work thing because it brings back conversations. I've had many arguments with people about labor because I'm a little bit of a socialist when it comes to the idea that, look, I think that all labor is equal. All labor. I've had at the Olympia, one of my buddies and I had this knockout, drag out discussion at like 1 o'clock in the morning in like this restaurant. And I think everybody thought that we were going to fucking fight, but we were just having fun. And we were talking about the value of labor. And I said, look, a doctor's time and your time as he was a tattoo artist or in a position or a janitor, it's fucking equal. They get paid different. But your labor his time is worth exactly what your time is worth, intrinsically, not in the economy. That was my only point. That you're telling, and he was like, no. He was trying to make the case that some people's work is valued more, has more value. And I said, only to you or others, not intrinsically. I have to And that was my only point. I don't think he really quite understood the nuance of what I was really saying. And the reason why I say it is to get out of the trap that most people fall in. When they judge somebody's labor, they judge them. They say, that's a janitor. That's the kind of work he does. And my point with all this is that what I do is not who I am.
The janitor is the most important person in the building.
To you.
If the building, no, as a CEO of a company.
Right. I'm just being.
If I've got a business, the cleaner is the most important person in the building, because if the place isn't clean, people won't even come to the building. So they don't get to me because they won't go in because it's not clean. So
I mean
the worst paid person in the building, but their job is just as important as my job.
Right. Well, I get that. No. I get that. I actually argue that same point as well. But my point is really a little bit more. What I'm really kind of saying is that most people are arguing about consensus. So, and it's the consensus of ideas. This is the idea that this person's labor value is worth this, and this person's labor value is worth this. Okay, I get that. And this job is important because of these reasons. But it doesn't have to be that way. It's obvious. No. It's obvious that so many janitors in your country and my country probably get the shit into the stick and probably don't get treated very well because of their social status, because of their job, because of what people are perceived. When in reality, their effort is just as valuable as my effort. It may produce different outcomes, but it's intrinsically equal, and it's also just as valuable. And that was my only point.
Here's another point for you. If I walk down the street in jeans and a t-shirt and I go and visit a business person, I am treated totally different than if I walk in with a suit.
Oh, absolutely.
If I walk in with a suit, they treat me totally different. I'm the same person. I'm just wearing different clothes, and they perceive me totally different.
So I've tried to find a way to tell this story that makes sense to people, because I love this is most people recognize this, right? They recognize that I get treated differently when I look different. That's the whole thing about Black Lives Matters. It's the whole thing about like racism going on in this country, in our country at least, where we're very, very hyper aware. And it's because of some of these things, that these injustices that have been going on for many, many years in our country and in other countries as well. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of taking a look at something or somebody and making a judgment about it. And it's totally fucking natural to do, right? If we didn't do it, we wouldn't be alive as a species. We needed to be able to look into the field and go, fucking tiger, stay away from it, without it doing anything, right? Or look at a tribe and go, hey man, these motherfuckers could kill us. This could be dangerous. Like, we better hide. We better not make our presence known just yet until we know that the coast is clear, right? Well, in today's day and age, that those decisions happen like this, and they happen when they take a look at you and they go, he's not going to buy a car here. I used to do that little trick. I used to dress up in my grubbiest shit, and I'd go into my car. Whenever I buy a car, I'd go into a car dealership, and I would intentionally look like a fucking bum so that I could see who treats me good. And the guy who treated me the best, he gets the sale. Because absolutely. Yeah, I was just like, no, I'm not. And I remember I walked into it.
I remember watching Pretty Woman.
Oh, right.
And that's the perfect scenario. When she goes into that shop and they look down on her and say, you can't afford this, you can't afford that, whatever. She goes back later on with his card and she's bought loads of other things. She said, big mistake.
Well, and that's the bad end of that of the story. The good end of the story would be that you avoid some possible injury or some possible, by making that flash judgment. My point with it is that this type of stereotyping that we use is really very protective in nature. The difference today is that we don't really need it as much as we used to. And if we're smart, then we use some of these other skills that we have to evaluate the rightness or the wrongness or the good or the bad of a particular situation, not just based.
Now, in my world, in my business world, I could be doing a Skype session like I'm doing with you. I could have a pair of shorts on, or I could be sat with my undies, and I could be speaking to a CEO, and he would have not a clue what I'm wearing, and he'd be quite happy making a decision over what I'm saying. It wouldn't matter whether I've got a suit on or not a suit on.
Well,
when you go to see them personally, it is a totally different, and I don't know why that is, but it seems to be totally different. When you see someone in person, they want you to be in the right attire.
Yeah, I think that's definitely regional because, like, I've lived all over the U.S. and been to different places. I would say that the U.K. is very similar to the East Coast in this respect. So in the East Coast, if I were to go to a business meeting, I would need to be dressed up. I would need to have a suit on, or I need to have something of the like, something that looked like I was. If I'm in California, in the Bay Area, I can show up with whatever the fuck I want. And I'm not gonna do flip flops and a fucking tank top. If I was the head engineer of a software company, nobody gives a shit. I mean, I worked in that industry in Silicon Valley, and it was beautiful. It was.
Perhaps I need to move to California
then. Yeah. Well, no, and here's what I know why. There's a really great. If you're interested in this, there's a really wonderful docuseries on Netflix called. It's about the video games. Oh, fuck, I just watched it. I can't remember what it's called. But it treks through the history of like Pong and like, you know, Atari and all these and then it goes through and it talks about like, so it goes into the modern age, but it takes in chunks, right? And each episode is in chunks. And one of the things they talk about is this nature of Silicon Valley and what it produced. And the reason why, I didn't know this. The reason why was because all these guys like Atari, and there was one, I think it was Atari, it was one of the first companies that said, hey, look, we don't care how you fucking show up. We don't care when you show up. We don't care how long you stay. All we care about is as long as you get the work done, I don't care.
That's it.
And so then it became very. And I remember when I moved to the Bay Area, it was awesome. I mean, it was like this. I worked for Oracle, and then I worked. This is where I got to school in the '90s, early '90s, and you know, you go into these companies. And they're startup companies, right? And they got like fucking pool tables and like fucking like, you know, like foosball tables, and there's like soda and there's like kitchen, like everybody's lounging. There's couches. It's an atypical workplace, right? Because I just come from back east where I went to graduate school in DC and worked there for a little bit and then moved to the Bay Area. I'm like going, whoa, it was like culture shock. I was like used to going to work in like a suit.
But I bet that company made more money than any other.
Oh, absolutely, hands down. These
people are relaxed. They enjoy the work environment, so they work harder. So they work hard. Simple.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things that we need to get beyond ourselves in our culture, right? In our world, we need to get out of this. You know,
don't take us so seriously. Everybody takes everything seriously.
Yeah, so it's like if I don't show up in just the right attire, I'm not going to be taken seriously. Like, what if I got the greatest fucking idea since sliced bread?
Correct.
Yeah, like,
and they
just blew it, just like in Pretty Woman.
Well, he didn't wear a tie, so we'll get rid of him.
As a matter of fact, when I worked for Oracle, I remember when I got hired. I remember this because I was hired very atypically. Oracle at that time, there was over 43,000 people in the company, and it was at the time they were building the internet. This is what we were doing, right? I get hired, and my VPs and stuff tell me, Ted, you're not a typical hire. We want you to know this. I'm like, really? Like, tell me more. So they said, well, normally we hire from Ivy League schools, tier 1 Ivy League schools. We hire people that came out of the sciences. I came out of the humanities. I got a humanities degree. I got philosophy, religion, theology, ethics. This is the shit that I studied. Right? I write, I speak. This is the stuff that I like to do. I didn't like economics. That was my worst class. I didn't like sciences. I mean, I liked them, but I didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do it full time. It was much more fun for me to sit down and write, or sit down with a book and figure out new shit, or find out new, philosophies. That was interesting to me. So they said, you're atypical in that respect, because we usually hire this kind of person. But they said,
stop you for one.
Yeah.
But I've just realised something, that you work so hard in your business. You are your business. You are your brand. You're your business. You're doing all the work, correct?
Correct.
You are the CEO of your brand.
Yeah.
Because you're in your business will never grow to what it could be
Yeah.
if you let somebody else do some of the work that you can do.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get to that in like 2 seconds.
And you did say that actually earlier on. You did mention that because you said you realised that you're holding on to, I'm my business. I can't let anyone do what I do, because if they fuck up, it's my brand, it's my things that are going to suffer. And that's the biggest one thing. You know, we were saying about what's the biggest thing, businesses and whatever. That's the biggest. The only difference between you and Donald Trump or any other millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, whatever you'd like to say, is that he has got time to make his business grow.
You know, this is
time to make your business grow. You can do so many clients in so many hours, but you can't do any more because you can't physically be in 2 places at once or speak to 2 people at once. Or
well, you know, I'm working with a marketing firm that's helping me right now clarify my message and do this. And one of the things, this became abundantly clear to me as I've looked at these things. They don't specialize in like looking at my business, but they specialize in like. But they're really good. They're really good at identifying something. And I know what my issue was. It was just fear. I feared that things would go wrong if I wasn't at the helm. Correct. And that's not true. It's not. No. It's categorically not true. It could happen, but
that's what I did in my coaching business. It was me. Yeah. I was the coach. I could only go to the schools. It was me who coached, nobody else. I did the sessions, so I could only earn X amount of pounds because I couldn't be in 2 places at once. It was impossible. I didn't want another coach going in there, dropping the ball, and then it would suffer. My business would suffer. But then I could only grow the business to a specific amount of money,
right? Because
it's impossible if you don't let go and let other people do the sports coaching, and then I manage the sports coaches. That's the only way you can grow a business. Simple.
Really. Yeah. It's pretty easy to see when you take a step back. It's hard to see it when you're in the middle of it sometimes.
And that's why I'm hired.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And,
I'm an outsider looking in. I'm not in the business. I'm an outsider looking in. So I tell the CEOs, this is where you're going wrong. This is what you need to do. And then the penny drops and they think, okay. And once they've got that, then we can move forward. And in fact, businesses rapidly grow once the penny's dropped and they think, well, I need to do this, and this. Before you know it, they can be earning 4, 5, 6 times as much a month than they were 3 months ago, because they realised that they've got to just pass the buck and say, you can do this, this, and this. I'll still be in charge. I basically say the last thing. They can still come back to you and say, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? You're still in charge. But they're doing the day-to-day running. You're overseeing them running the business. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple when you after you've lived through it, and then look at it. But when I as I've been in the middle of it for so long, it has been. I always knew that was at the center of some of my issues, was being able to delegate. But I definitely couldn't. It was hard. It was definitely hard for me to let go, and especially when you combine it with the critical factor that I love doing the stuff that I do. So I don't want to give it to somebody else. I don't want someone else to do it. I want to actually do it.
Yeah, but you're at the top of your game also. You're one of the very few in the world, and I'm not just sucking up because we're on this podcast, but you are one of the only few in the whole world to coach top athletes.
Yeah, I realize
in
that.
Bodybuilding.
Yeah,
bodybuilding and other athletes. There's not many people in the world that teach top tier athletes, bodybuilders, whatever you want to call them. So you're there's perhaps maybe 10, 8, 5.
Yeah, probably like 10 or 20 of who I would say really, really.
I can name a few that I know, obviously, because I'm into bodybuilding, which hopefully we'll get onto in a bit because I love talking bodybuilding. But, there's Chris Aceto, there's yourself, there's Dave Palumbo.
Can't forget your boy Neil Hill over there, who I really like Neil. He's a cool dude.
I mean, Neil's very, very good. I'm hoping that the Brit takes the Olympia home. I'm hoping
which one?
Flex Lewis.
I'm joking. Yeah, of course.
Dorian won it. It's about time another Brit won it.
Oh, all right. Well, that's our segue into bodybuilding talk. We'll speak a few minutes on this. This year for bodybuilding has been a very interesting year because of the shows, COVID, and everything else. The lack of shows, lack of ability, and but also because this Olympia. Well, one, they had to move it to December, so it's going to be later in the year than we normally see it. Because normally I'm getting ready to go to the Olympia right now. Normally it's right now. But we have a couple really interesting things going on. Like Flex Lewis is making his move to the open class.
I've watched every Olympia since 1980.
Oh, since 1980?
Since 1980, I've watched every Olympia.
Wow, that's more than that's more Olympias than I watched. I've been to a lot of Olympias. I've been to since last 20, 30 years. I've been.
First experience of bodybuilding, I was 13 years old, and I saw, I think it was a magazine called Body Power then in England, and Robbie Robinson was on the front of the magazine doing curls, and it looked like he had 200 pounds on the bar. He probably didn't, but that's what it looked like at the time. And his arms were absolutely amazing. It was like, oh my God, who's that? What's that?
It's too bad.
And I remember,
have you seen much of him today?
I was like, I want to be like that. I was like,
have you seen much of Robbie these days? Last year, a couple years ago.
He's about 8. He's got to be 70.
Yeah, but he's gotten jaded. At least he got really jaded. I mean, I remember a couple years ago he made some rant, complained, asked everyone to help donate money, all some weird stuff, and it was just really weird. Yeah, because he was going through some financial problems. He had some health issues. He couldn't pay for some health bills, some stuff like that. And so he was making an appeal to his fans and to people to help him. And I don't think something went wrong or something happened, and everyone took it the wrong way, and he took it the wrong way, and all kinds of mess.
I think I saw him a couple of years ago online, and he still was ripped. He still looked amazing. It was like, wow,
I just saw somebody, one of my fellow judges, like, hey, they were, I think it was, they said they were sitting next to Albert Beckles, he still judges. He still looks good. I mean, like, fuck, the dude still, he don't look 90, whatever. I think he's 92, right?
1984, Mr. Olympia, they called him out on stage and they said he was 53 years old then.
Yeah, I
remember. In 1980. So what does that make him?
Well,
really good at math.
Yeah,
earning money. This is not my best boy, but I tell you what, he's got to be 90.
He's in his 90s. I think he's like 92, 93, something like that. Anyways, but he still looks pretty good. He looks better than he doesn't look like he's a guy in his 90s. So,
are you sure he's not Thai because he's got that young face?
Well, he's got all that really great pigment. So like whenever the darker the pigment, it protects your skin. It doesn't age. And I think a lot of black people, a lot of Asian people, they have an elevated amount of elastin in the skin, and that's what gives their skin the taut, youthful look for much longer. You lose that as you age, especially white people. So
yes,
and then all of a sudden they hit a certain age, all of a sudden they start to really age. You can see this.
You only have to look at Dexter Jackson as a perfect example.
Yeah, he's older than I am. He's like
he's got. I think he tells porcupines. I think he's older than he is.
For a long time, I know for a fact that he was lying about his age. He would fudge it by a year or two because he felt that the judges would slant him if he was over 40 or something. But now he can't hide it. Now it's working to his advantage.
I reckon it's 55. That's what I think. He's got to be.
Either way,
he
looks good.
3 years or something like that.
And I remember when he turned pro, and I remember right after, I think he turned pro with the North Americans, and I think he came to California. He came to California for like a guest posing thing, and he had like a table, right? And he was selling pictures. And I was married to my first wife at the time. She's Japanese, beautiful woman. I love her, still love her today. I still talk to her all the time. And her name's Shauna, and she went to his table. I competed at the show, right? And I did well. I think I got like third or something. And he was sitting at the table. She's like, "Oh, can I get Dexter's autograph? He had he's some great pictures." Like, "Oh, sure." he has a line of people at his table, and we stand. We walk up to the table, and I'm like, oh, it's a huge line. And he takes one look at her, and he goes like this to everybody else. What do you need, sweetheart? And he gave her her picture, and he signed it for her, like just like that. I was like, okay, I know where his mind's at. I'm like, he always likes the ladies.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
No, I guess not. Hey, he can treat his fans the way he wants to.
It's before the podcast, and we love ladies as well. So hey, that's
we have something in common. We've both dated, or you've been married to a Thai lady, and now you're dating another Thai lady, and I have too, of course. I never thought. The funny thing is, when I was a kid, I used to joke around with Suni about this. Joke that when I was a kid, I used to watch this movie, or used to watch the Disney movie, Lady and the Tramp, with the dogs, And did you ever see that one?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's that scene in the cartoon where the two little Siamese cats sing that song. They're like, "We are Siamese, if you please," and they go through this whole little song, right? And they're kind of evil fucking cats, right? Like in the cartoon, but that always I'm like, I remember growing up when I watched that movie. It was a very influential movie for me, and that scene. While I didn't like the cats, they looked evil to me. But for whatever reason, the Siamese element of it stuck out to me as a kid. And I remember looking at pictures of Siamese women and going, or who are really Thai women, because that's old Siam. The Siam was Thailand. And so I didn't know that. Growing up, I thought, oh, Siam, it's this Asia this place in Asia that's like this like really sort of exotic.
And I'll just show you quickly
if
I can.
My point is that what I used to tell her was that she was my Siamese princess, because I always just oh wow.
There's the Thai Buddhas, look.
Yeah, I have one in my living room. They're cool. Although I like the Chinese Buddha better.
There's the other one.
Oh, that's nice.
So I have them in my room, and yeah,
I got Buddhas. I collect Buddhas. I got Buddhas all over my house. I got I got my crystals, but I do like I actually like the happy, abundant Chinese Buddha the best in terms of the visuals. What was that? Yeah. The fat guy.
Sorry.
The one that the fat. Yeah. He's like usually he's the one that is for good luck. But I do have a Thai Buddha that I purchased in Thailand. I think I got it in Chiang Mai. And that was my favorite place when I went. I went to Bangkok. I went to an island out there in Koh Samet. We went all over, and Chiang Mai was my favorite.
Did you try Hua Hin?
No, not to my knowledge. If I did, I didn't know.
That is on the other coast to Pattaya. There's Pattaya on one, and then you go round in a horseshoe, and that's on the other side, and it's absolutely stunning.
All right,
so relaxed. It's really relaxed. There's not too many Farangs, as they call us. There's not too many Europeans, or it's quite a relaxed, quiet, lovely place. It's beautiful. You want to try it?
Yeah, most of the places that Suni took me were places where they were non-touristy. She made a point. She even told me she made it a point not to take me to the touristy places. She's like, because she said she didn't want me to. She's like, I don't want those other Thai girls to interact with you, or something like that. She's like, all they want.
So there was no way that she was taking you down Walking Street in
Pattaya.
No. Because
I mean, it's really interesting because one, I'm the biggest dude around, so like you walk around and everyone looks at you.
Yeah.
And the guys are like the guys will joke around with you. The girls that want to fucking touch you. It was bizarre. and I wasn't even nearly as big as I used to be.
Hey, well, when I went up to my wife's village, which is Kampang Pet, and then there's Wangor is actually a village, and it's 6 hours away from Bangkok, drive-wise, so it's a long drive. It's right up north. It's just under Chiang Mai.
Okay.
But her village is like you're in the jungle.
Oh.
Literally, you.
Oh wow.
There's snakes and there's it's quite. It's a bit dodgy, but it was nice. But no other Farang went there. I went there because of her family. Her family lived there, so I went there, and it looked like I was the Pope or something. Because everybody came out of the village looking at me, and I'm looking behind me thinking who they're looking at.
You're like, I'm just some.
And I'm thinking, I'm looking like, I'm following them thinking, who's arrived? What's happening here? And it was me. Looking at me. I've never seen a white man before. So it was like, who's this?
It's funny. We don't think about that here in the States or in places like where you're at, where there's a lot of cultural diversity, because we see a lot of different culture. We see a lot of different types of people. But in many places of the world, they don't. Right? Correct. They just don't.
One, obviously in Pattaya, where everybody goes, they obviously see lots of Europeans, so it's just the norm. But in her village, Wangor, it was just like, who is this person? That is different colour. What's all this about? I mean, her mother, she had a little stool. She was 85 years old. She sat on a stool. She was in a wooden hut as a house. And she'd never had a settee or a sofa to sit on all her life. Yeah. Wow. We bought her a sofa. Bought her a sofa for £50, as it was then. We gave it to her. We put it in the house. We said, we'll come back tomorrow. We went back the next day. She was still sat on the stool. She hadn't even taken the plastic sheet off the sofa because you didn't realise that that's what you needed to do.
You're like, this is really, trust me, it's more comfortable than that stool.
Exactly. We were trying to show her, but because she'd lived like that all her life, she just didn't know.
Well, that's a really wonderful example of, we think that our brand of civilization is like the top end, like what we're supposed to be like this. Oh, they're suffering because not really. Suffering has to do with what the messages that we tell ourselves about who we are and what situation we're in.
She had the biggest smile on her face. She didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, but she was the happiest person that you could ever see.
I have dreamed.
She knew no different, and that's the key. She didn't know to sit on that settee would be more comfortable than her stool. So she chose to still sit on the stool.
So do you still...
That's what she'd always done all her life.
So now that was your ex-wife's mother?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you still get a chance to talk to them over there?
Well, unfortunately, Mum died a couple of years later. Unfortunately, she's died. Oh. I do keep in contact with the family.
Oh, okay.
Over Facebook and my stepson and stepdaughter. Obviously, I still talk to, and so yeah.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed my time in Thailand a lot. It was a trip that was well worth it.
We stopped talking about bodybuilding. What happened?
Oh, yeah, because I've talked about bodybuilding for 35 years, brother.
And I was talking bodybuilding. Then we digressed on Thailand again, and we could talk Thailand for the next 5 years. It was really good.
I liked it. The next place I want to really, my next big benchmark for the place that I want to go that I think is going to be fun is Japan. Because I've never been to Japan, and I'm Japanese. I want to go to Osaka. And I want to go to that guy, Hiro, what's his name? He owns that sushi place. World famous. He's considered the best sushi restaurant in the world. He's the only sushi restaurant that has gotten a 3 Michelin star rating. It's the only sushi restaurant with a 3 Michelin star rating consistently for like more than 2 or 3 years in a row. Like he's the only guy that's gotten this. And he's been doing sushi. He's 90 something years old. Like I got to do it before this man dies. Because it's you pay. Die any minute. Well, have you seen that documentary on Netflix called Hiro Dreams of Sushi?
No.
So that's about him, his life, and about his family, his 2 sons. Both of his sons also are sushi chefs. One of them, his oldest son, works for him and will take over the business when he dies. But his youngest son decided to go off and make his own business because he's like, I will never inherit this business because my brother is older, and that's the way you do it in Japan. The older brother gets it, and he passes it on. And he said, so I had to go off on my own. So it turns out that his brother got a really fucking awesome sushi place too. And because his brother's like 50-something years old. He's like our age. So it's like, they're not like young. So he's like, if I wait any longer, I'll never have my own sushi place. Yeah, but I guess like, from what I understand, you pay like $350, $400 per plate, and it's for that's the price it costs. He only takes reservations, only a couple people at a time in his place. And you don't get to pick what you eat. He chooses every course, and it's based on.
Now, what I was going to say about business, right? If you make something elite that not everyone can go and do, that only people are chosen to do that, you'll have as many customers as you can ever have. Because you said earlier on, you always want something that you cannot have.
That's right.
So you set the price at $6,000 a plate because people think, oh my God, it's got to be they'd pay $6,000.
Yeah,
because it's something that they don't have. There's something
I want to. Well, he apparently
we're not allowed in a party. It's only guests only. You can't allow. So you want to get into that party? You'll do anything to get into that party because you're told you cannot get in it. It's like a kid. If you say don't open that door, what do? They open the door, don't they? Because they're told they can't do it.
I always give this example to my, even though it's not quite the same, but it kind of illustrates the point. I tell people, don't think of the color blue. So what'd you just think of? It's like blue, because our brains work in positives. They don't work in negatives.
Can I just say something, Tad? I'm getting some knocks from next door. I'm waking the neighbours up. So we'll have to wrap it up. Can we do it again?
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. But before we'll end this conversation, because we've been in it for about an hour, it's perfect. But I wanted to give my 2 cents and get your 2 cents about Flex Lewis's, because I know you met Flex before. I know you know him. I know him really well. He's a really wonderful dude. And I've said it for years. I said it actually like 10 years ago that he should make the transition to the open class, because I think that he's probably got one of the best physiques I've ever seen in bodybuilding. And if anyone could do it, he could do it. But it'll be interesting to see what he looks like standing next to these other guys, because he loses inches, and he's going to lose pounds. He's going to lose pounds to people. There's no way he's not going to lose pounds to people. So when you stand, and there's a big difference. I remind people there's a big difference when you're 230 pounds and you're standing next to a guy who's 260 or 70 pounds, and you're losing 30, 40 pounds of lean, ripped muscle to that other guy. You're gonna have to make. There's some way you got to make up for that.
What I would say is Leela Brada, Sean Ray.
Again, like those guys never won the Olympia. We're talking about who could win the Olympia, and all those guys lost out. They lost inches and pounds to people. There was never. I remember the 80s. I loved Leela Brada. Just a second, I love Leela Brada, but I knew he was never going to beat Lee Haney. He was never going to beat him because he lost too many pounds to him. Even though Leela Brada, by far, structurally, had a better physique. But he didn't have a better bodybuilding physique. He wasn't a better bodybuilder.
Can we do another podcast? Can we do it another hour at some point in time?
Absolutely, man. I want to get into some of these, because I really do want to talk a little bit more about some of these ideas about business, because there's some things that I'm doing right now that I think I'd love to toss past you. Then we can do offline too, but absolutely. But what?
Can we make sure that we do it not at 2 o'clock in the morning, my time?
Yeah. This was off the cuff. I had a cancellation. Actually, So this was my time to. I was going to have Mike O'Hearn on again, and Mike, unfortunately, and I'm sorry to hear this, that he had to put one of his dogs down. And if everybody who knows Mike, they know that his dogs are like his babies. They're like his life. And so my heart goes out to him. He had to put one of his dogs down. So I hope he's doing okay. But he'll be on my show next week.
Really?
All right, my friend. Well, you get the.
I know that you're 8 hours behind me.
Right. We'll figure out.
If you could have a morning free.
Yeah, I don't do well. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't do well in the mornings, but I'll make an exception for you, because my energy levels are not great, because I have other stuff that I have this whole self-care part of my life that I do in the morning. And so I work out, I meditate, I do all these things. And if I don't do that shit, I have spent way too much of my life not serving myself. Yeah.
All I'm saying is that.
So I make it a point.
Because of the time difference.
Oh, yeah. No, that's easy. We can do that. And I apologize. This is my fault.
you're 8 hours behind.
Yes.
So if it's 10 o'clock your time, it's going to be 6 o'clock in the evening my time.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. No worries. No, it's easy.
Then, all I'm saying is, then I'm not going to disturb the neighbours.
Right.
I've got to think about the neighbours because I've just got them knocking on my wall.
Tell them tomorrow. Maybe if you get a chance, tell them tomorrow. Tell them that your podcast person says thank you for allowing you to for disturbing their sleep. All right, my friend. Well, you get some sleep. I know it's late, so you get some sleep. I'll have you on again. We'll talk about some other stuff, and then I'll make sure I make a point for us to reconnect offline as well. That's my fault.
Yeah, and what we'll do is I wanted to really discuss more about business because obviously I'm hoping that I can help you.
Oh, absolutely. I know you can. You're a wonderful resource. And I want to make a trip out there anyways as well. So maybe there's other stuff that we can link together as well. So when we can travel, whenever that will be.
Yeah.
Here's my guess. We'll be able to travel after November 12th.
I'm hoping that I want to come to the Olympia. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
My hope is that you'll be able to. I hope they travel. I don't know what the travel restrictions are right now. So, I mean, hopefully by December, it'll be pretty easy. So, hopefully.
It's just me being able to get a ticket late. That'll be the problem because obviously I won't know. So, I might not be able to get a ticket. To go to the Olympia. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because
you should be able to. I don't see.
We might.
You what? What?
Because we don't know when we're going to be told that we can go to the States, so it might be too late to get a ticket for the show. So I don't know. Yeah,
you might want to email us, the promoters, or just email the providers to see what kind of because they obviously have encountered this because half of the audience doesn't live in the United States. Like many people come from out of the country to go see that event every year, and I'm sure they're getting that request or getting that question. So you might want, I don't know the answer to that. So you may want to, they may have more information. You might want to ask. So, all right, my friend, you get some rest. We'll talk again and I'll have you on the show again. Okay.
I'm so glad that we actually got this hour in.
Oh, me too.
I know it's late for me, but it's been a joy. You keep doing what you're doing because you're fantastic. You're an inspiration to a lot of guys, a lot of people, including me.
Thank you, Alan.
No. I'm honest and I say it as it is, and keep doing what you're doing. You're brilliant.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, man. I know we got some pretty cool things that you and I are going to do together in the future. I know it. I can feel it.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. You have a good night, my friend, and I'm sorry to disturb your neighbors.
I'll see you soon.
Okay, stay on the line, okay?
In fact, contact me online on my phone because I can do that quietly.
Okay, cool. All right. Stay on. What was that?
I'll be still awake for another hour.
Okay.
So we can contact just by texting or whatever, and then I'm not waking anyone up.
Well, don't hang up just yet. But I did want to say thank you and let everybody know, just in case, how can they get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you, hire you? How do they do that?
So it's businessmentorgroup.com. That's the website.
I'll put it in my notes here.
Businessmentor.com. No, sorry, businessmentorgroup.com because it's late.
All right, and then do you have Instagram or any other social media stuff that they could reach you at?
I try to stay off Instagram because I don't think it's my thing.
Oh, it's not your thing. Okay, it's not your thing. It's not your thing.
I've got an email. It's alangreensitt@gmail.com. They can email me by that. alangreensitt@gmail.com.
All right, I'll put this all in my notes so that way I can reproduce it.
And that comes straight through to my phone.
Okay.
So wherever I am in the country or seeing a client or whatever, that comes straight through to me personally.
Perfect.
So it's not stored in my computer. It comes straight to my phone, so I get it straight away. So that's the best one.
Awesome. All right. Well, stay on the line real quick, and thank you so much, Alan, for staying up late and for being on the show, but also for being patient with me.
Anytime.
Handle your high with Tadyoshi.